This video is brought to you by Iona, North America's premier charging network. With unmatched commitment to elevating the customer experience, Iona is opening America's roads to all EVs, giving drivers the coverage they need, the reliability they deserve, and the amenities they crave. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. You join me back with a Cadillac Lyriq. It has been a few years since you and I have driven one of the Cadillac Lyriqs, and it was actually really one of the first GM Ultium vehicles. It was like this and Hummer EV kind of coming out at the same time. And since then, so many things have happened in the world of General Motors and electric cars, and I thought it was time to give the Lyriq really a second look. We've got to give it a fair shot for the second time around. When I reviewed this car early on, it had a bunch of software bugs, weird little issues with it, and I think a lot of them have been solved over time. And also I can have a little opportunity to talk about the GM's improvement and also expansion of their electric cars back from when this car launched. So join me for a second look, a revisit of the Cadillac Lyriq. And here it is. I'm actually stealing this from my hotel. I've been wanting to make another Lyriq video for so long for you guys. A lot of you have asked because Cadillac has updated this vehicle, not only through over-the-air software updates, but also for, what else did they do? Manufacturing changes. They removed a bunch of parts content here. And you can tell I'm actually here for a Nissan event. I can't tell you why I'm here, but I popped over with this car because our hotel offered Cadillac Lyriqs to drive, and I was like, oh hell yeah, let's hook it up. And this thing's a brand new 2025 Lyriq. It's the 600E4, which is the all-wheel drive dual motor variant. Now, I've not driven this particular variant. The only Lyriq I think I've ever driven was that rear drive car I drove so long ago, and I kind of gave it, I don't want to say an unfairly harsh review, but I just wasn't feeling it. There was something about it that day that early Lyriqs just didn't do it for me. I just was like, okay, it's super nice and roomy on the inside, but I just wasn't totally into it. Since then, I've been seeing Lyriqs on the road, driving around. My colleague Walter owns one of these, and I'm like, damn. They actually are kind of nice. The styling not only has grown on me, I never disliked the styling, but something about them started to become more appealing, especially with the updates that the GM products have received from the early Lyriqs. Early Lyriqs were really buggy and had a lot of software problems and would glitch out, and in my experience, a lot of that is completely solved. You can tell this is an early Ultium product because it still retains the power button, unlike the new cars now. How do we completely shut off climate control? Boom, you hit off. Makes sense. So you have a mix of physical buttons with this nice display here as well, which is super cool. We've got, the Android-based operating system that really has been smoothed out in newer GM products. I'm actually a pretty big fan of this. No CarPlay or Android Auto anymore, right? They got rid of that? Nope, this still has it. 2025. No way. CarPlay and Android Auto. So that's pretty cool. I know some GM models have gotten rid of it. For me, that's not really a big deal. I personally like to have Spotify and Waze, which this is actually preloaded with both of those right on there already, so I can just log in and use those. But there's a ton of downloadable apps, PlugShare, you can get a better route planner and other things. But the updates, I really can't stress enough how much GM has done, I think, to really make this car so much better. When the Lyriq first launched, I didn't know what to expect from it because I don't think we had the context back then of the entire General Motors lineup of electric vehicles. You have to remember when this car came out in, 2022-ish timeframe, 2023, somewhere around there. GM had been promising electric cars are coming. We're going to change the game. We're going to blow everyone away. And they had those battery cell production issues. They were having quality issues. They were breaking down. There was just so many bugs and problems and software glitches. And we were all like, what the hell is General Motors doing? Can they not get their, what together? Well, it turns out it took them until about early 2024, but they have really got their stuff together now. They are launching a new electric model. It feels like every couple months. They are pumping out vehicles, Equinoxes, Blazers, Silverado Sierra EVs, Hummers. And the question is, do people want to buy those vehicles? Well, I see them on lots quite a bit. I don't know the sales numbers, but I will say early on, people wanted them. And they just couldn't build enough of them. There were production delays over and over. And now I feel like we're past the bugginess. We're kind of at where this is a really nice, beautiful car. I think very nice interior, very spacious with Super Cruise now in more models. There was a real chip shortage for Super Cruise early on. And so all I want to do in this video is really take a second look at the Lyriq. This one being a 2025 means there's a ton of manufacturing changes that makes, they like reduce their parts content massively. There was just an over-the-air software update that was sent to these to improve their charging performance, especially in cold weather. It has manual and automatic battery preconditioning. Like, there's a lot to like here. And, that's all we're going to do is let's just go drive around the Lyriq. It's been a few years, and even just sitting in here, I'm like, okay, maybe it took me a bit to come on the General Motors Ultium train. Ultium's no longer a word there, by the way. They've canceled the word Ultium. Can you believe it? But it took me a minute to get on board with this car. When I first drove it, I wasn't totally against it, but I think I remember the comments. People were saying I was harsh to it. And I'm like, well, I wasn't harsh to it. I just didn't think it was that comfortable or that sporty. And so now I've got the sportier version, not the V, but the all-wheel drive model. And it's only got 590 miles on it. So let's go rip it. Before we drive, I got to check two things. I've actually been driving the sister car to this recently, the Cadillac Lyriq, which they put a pretty good charge port on that one, plus or minus. This one always had a terrible charge port. It like sprung out. I wonder if they fixed it for 2025. Got to select it. Oh, nope, still pretty bad. But at least it's fast, faster than Blazer's charge port. But that's not so great. And let's open up the front trunk and see what we have, if there is one. I don't totally remember 100% if there is. Nope, no front trunk. Typical General Motors, just leave it open. Now, the reason they do this, they claim, is so they can free up trunk space. But I know a lot of EVs that have a ton of trunk space and also a ton of space under the hood. This one, well, the packaging of the GM stuff just isn't amazing. I don't think anyone will argue with that. For me, I'm not a huge front trunk guy. Personally, I'm okay with it. Doesn't impact my impression, but I do have to mention that there is quite a bit of space back here. And you can even get the larger Cadillac Lyriq, which is the 3-row, built on the same sort of 12 module battery, which is, I want to say, just over 100 kilowatt hours, maybe like 102, 105 usable. And it's the same wheelbase, but it just is stretched front and rear. And the Lyriq is awesome. I'm a big fan of the Lyriq. So I feel like maybe I'll be a big fan here. Also, I see a little phone cutout here. Is that for like an NFC reader? Cool. Okay, things are happening. So let's get the cameras in and cruise around Beverly Hills in a Lyriq. Well, you guys joined me in the Cadillac Lyriq. What a surprise. Didn't expect to be able to drive this today, but very thrilled to. It's been on my list to get into a Lyriq at some point. Noticing some familiar things that definitely annoyed me before, and then definitely just some nicer updates from the last time. Just initially, I think it's funny how this car does not show you a displayed state of charge anywhere on the screen. Now, I know model year 26 GM vehicles are getting some changes as well. For example, they're going to allow lane centering without the need to be on a pre-mapped road. So they'll lane center everywhere, and then Super Cruise will just kick on separately when you're on a pre-mapped road. That's an amazing update. I did a whole video on that on our Out of Spec Bits channel, so I'm excited about that there. But in general, yeah, there's still some weird stuff like no state of charge displayed. And for me, just seating position wise, this wheel doesn't come out far enough. So I feel like I'm sitting pretty close, but I've got to really reach to get to the wheel. I would prefer it to be, you know, a little bit different angle and come down farther. That's the same for every single one of these Ultium platform vehicles. I've got cooled seats on. I've got the massage seat ripping now. It's only just a little roll, but you know, the Lyriq is the one that we're driving here. This one's probably touching $80,000, being an all-wheel drive, long range. They all come with the same battery, the Lyriqs, I should say. But yeah, let's go cruise. Now, this is also really funny. Every time you get into a GM vehicle, you've got to really crank the wheel around because it's got the world's slowest steering ratio. And all of them are this way. And I just can't understand for the life of me why they did that. And so, not sure. This one's also not equipped with air suspension. Chinese Lyriqs are. Just throwing random facts your way as we go for a drive here in Beverly Hills, California. What should we talk about during this drive? Well, I'd like to mention some General Motors stuff in general. How about that? Talk about some of the things they've been doing recently that I really am thrilled about. So from an electric standpoint, I feel like Cadillac's really got its mojo coming. And I'm excited about that because electric fits the Cadillac brand DNA because they can be quite quick, or at least quick enough to get through traffic. And then, you know, I just think like a typical Cadillac owner is probably just like cruising around, and that's where the Lyriq really works. But then you also have the Optic, which is the small electric SUV, the smaller brother to this. So you have Optic Lyriq, Vistic, the 3-row, Escalade IQ, which is awesome. We gave that car a stellar review because it is unapologetically an American land yacht with tons of luxury and tech and other cool stuff. It doesn't really drive all that well in terms of sportiness, but it just cruises, and it's got a huge battery, and we love that. And then there's also the Celestiq. Now, I am excited about the Celestiq because that is sort of an FU Halo car, $300,000 and up. I think you can spec them to $1 million if you go crazy. I really want to check out a Celestiq because to me, Cadillac's needed a Halo car for a really long time. They've always had the concepts of like doing their crazy like 16 cylinders, other stuff. Now they finally get the Celestiq, which is really, really exciting. So that's the electric side of Cadillac. That excites me. Then you get the combustion side of Cadillac. Yes, I'm excited about that because Cadillac, not only will they sell you a very practical, nice, luxurious, comfortable electric SUV like the Lyriq, they'll also sell you a CT5V Blackwing that's got 660 something horsepower, right? Manual, optional, amazing. Limited slip diff in the rear, does all the stuff, makes all the right noises, no lift shift. I haven't driven one, but I'd really love to have a go in a Blackwing. They just seem awesome, especially with the new precision pack carbon ceramic brakes. So they've just like gone, let's go ultra luxury and then make like a better M5 than BMW. So they really have seemed to just turn around the entire brand image on a dime like that. It's really exciting from an enthusiast standpoint of electric cars and enthusiast combustion cars. Absolutely love that. And then let's just talk about General Motors in a whole really quick. They are building some really cool cars. I mean, the new Corvette ZR1 is freaking awesome. Just seems amazing. 1,067 horsepower, flat plane crank, turbocharged with two 76 millimeter turbochargers. I mean, okay, cool. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is because when I first reviewed the Lyriq, the future of GM looked pretty bleak. It was, how can they survive in the electric age? Their stuff isn't working. It was just like all the stories were pretty bad back then, to be honest. And now I feel like the story is almost flipped. It's like, damn, GM is on their game. They are making and producing a ton of electric vehicle models, not only for the North American market, but they also have Chinese specific models that, to be fair, aren't selling all that well, but they're doing okay. They're like Chinese vans, the Buick vans, they're killing it. Are we just waiting in traffic here? Do we have one of those digital mirrors? Yes. How about that? Let's see if we can just flip around this person that's waiting in line and go on some roads this way. Nice. So anyway, to me, GM's just exciting. Like, their engineers can do some crazy cool stuff. They can also build some of the crappiest cars on the planet. So they have like this huge breadth of capability, and when they apply themselves, they just get it. And I feel like they really applied themselves with the Ultium product, but it felt rushed. They didn't have the production capacity sorted to get it ripping. And so now here we are years later, re-driving the Lyriq at a much different time for General Motors, where I'm excited for the brand. I'm actually thinking about buying a General Motors product, a CT5V Blackwing. I've got to drive it and spend some time with one, but I'd love to have one of the last manual V8 sedans out there. Would be really cool. And their electric stuff seems really better than ever. I mean, they're not particularly impressive on paper, but the average driver and buyer of these GM products seem to love them. Walter loves his Lyriq. You know, they don't charge all that impressively well. This will do like 190-ish kilowatt peak, which isn't crazy. It's a 400 volt system architecture, nothing pushing the boundaries, but it's just enough to be livable and usable, and then really quiet and very comfortable. So that's one thing that I'm really picking up right now, even just driving over these bumps on this California sort of cracked pavement. This is really comfortable, and I would say even more comfortable than the last time I drove the Lyriq from what I can remember. And this is the all-wheel drive model. Now soon, and I mean like very soon, like we might see them start popping up at dealers any second, Cadillac Lyriq Vs are coming on the market. And the Lyriq V is basically going to be this exact car, dual motor powertrain, just juiced up with a little bit bigger brakes, probably just up front, and some sporty stuff in there. I'm not so excited about that because that's going to be very similar to the Chevy Blazer SS underneath, and all of my colleagues who drove it were pretty underwhelmed by it. It just wasn't performance enough to really have a performance badge. And I'm actually okay with that. I think if you're getting a Cadillac Lyriq, don't go for the sporty ones. I haven't driven the V yet, so take all this with a grain of salt. Just get the normal one and just cruise and have a fun weekend car. Like, I think a great two-car solution is a Lyriq and a Blackwing. That really is like a great Cadillac two-car solution in my eyes. And I don't really know where I'm driving, but I'm driving where Lyriq owners drive, here around California and many other places, just cruising, piddling around. Seats are comfortable, cabin's nice. I like the big display. The software's gotten so much better than before, so much more stable. And I'm really looking forward to just driving it around. So let's get out of the city. Let's see if we can find any road to drive on around here, which I don't think there's that many. And yeah, go see how this thing cruises. I'm going to try quick acceleration. Oh, yeah. Not that fast. They do a lot of like artificial torque limiting at low speed from what it feels like. So if you juice it down low, you can even see the power bar just isn't giving you all that much juice. And approaching this car from a performance standpoint is not the intention. That's not the use. Honestly, they will make the Lyriq V, so we could look at that, you know, in more of a performance standpoint later on. But just to cruise in comfort mode, which is how I think I'm set up right now. Let's double check. Drive modes, Tour, yeah, Tour mode. This is just supple. It's the right size. It's got the right image. I'm really impressed by how comfortable and quiet it is. And it's just a car that I think has grown on me. There's not, you know, normally when I drive a car for the first time, that's kind of my impression, and it doesn't change much over time. But the Lyriq, and I think just the General Motors brand as a whole, in the context of today, really has changed. Here's a Lyriq coming down the road. Oh, what's up, Lyriq buddy? They didn't wave. I just thought maybe we could start a Lyriq wave. Would be kind of nice. So I am absolutely doing customer representative driving. Yeah, I'm really curious if you guys own a Lyriq or Blazer or Equinox or one of these sort of General Motors EVs, how you guys are enjoying them, because from my impression, they kind of get overlooked, especially in our content, because on paper, they're not particularly all that impressive in terms of charging and range until you get into the double stack 2024 modules of like the, you know, Hummers and Escalades, IQs and stuff like that. But this is just a nice car to drive, and it has a totally different character than anything on the market. It's just relaxed. I mean, I would say way more comfortable, way more relaxed, and even kind of nicer than like a Mercedes EQE SUV, which is sort of a direct competitor. This has just got that more American squishy land yacht feel to it, which when I first reviewed the car, I was kind of not expecting that or looking for that character. And I think I've either come to appreciate it more, or just the other cars in the market didn't offer what this car did, which is a very nice, comfortable daily driver. I still think it's weird how it has a start button, though. The rest of the GM products do not. So what's up with that? Hummer and Lyriq still have the start button. With that said, I'm going to get out of the city a little bit. Like you can see where I'm heading. We'll put it in sport mode. We'll at least see if it's sporty. And then we'll just end this video. It's just a quick little opportunity to go for a drive in a Lyriq, which I haven't done in a long time. If you buy one of these, though, you really got to get used to turning the wheel. I'm going around this corner with a 180-degree lock on the wheel. I swear GM really needs to come out with steer-by-wire, because this is just a ridiculous amount of steering input. Not even effort, like it's light steering. You just have to, look at that, fully crossed up here. You got to go like hand over hand just to drive down this little road. That's really, really funny. So, I mean, seems like we're actually in a pretty good spot to just put it in sport mode, if I'm honest, and see if it's sporty. Feels pretty nice in terms of, you know, the intention of how comfortable it is. It doesn't fall apart when you rip it around a corner. Got to put a lot of steering in, of course. I can hear the brake-based torque vectoring going on under there. Honestly, it's more than what anyone would need. It's not fun to drive fast. It's not particularly engaging at all. It's very understeery, very front heavy. There's no communication coming through the wheel. It doesn't need to. It doesn't even matter. I mean, the point of a Lyriq is to get it and you just drive it. You go on road trips with it. It's got great route planning with Google Maps now. And it's not going to be the fastest road tripper out there. The route planner isn't going to get you at 5% out of spec style. It's just going to kind of do what you need it to do at a pretty reasonable price, especially in the used market. But the new ones feel a little bit better sorted than the older ones. I remember a lot of rattles in the old ones. This one, there is some noise coming from the back, but it feels way better put together than the first Lyriq I was in. And, you know, I really do like the screens here. I just can't believe it doesn't show you a numerical state of charge readout. It does in the nav system, which is funny. And you can ask Google, you know, hey, what's my state of charge or whatever, and it will tell you. But it's only if you're logged into your Google account. So there's some really funny limitations here. With all that said, I think I'm going to end the video there. Just a revisit to the Lyriq. I felt like I owed this car an update to my feelings on it. I'm really glad that driving it here confirms that I am like really kind of into the Cadillac thing, the Lyriq thing, for that type of person. And I am, you know, maybe not the target audience for this car, but I know so many people, so many of my friends who have bought Lyriqs and are like, Kyle, look, you really got to get back in that thing and give it another shot. And I'm like, yeah, for the nerds, for those looking for every last little detail, you know, Lucid, Gravity, maybe upcoming Porsche Cayenne or Macan Electric, more my style for what I'm looking for. But if you just want like a nice, good looking, luxurious American car, then look no further than the Lyriq. I think they're cool, and they have some incredible lease deals on them. Do not buy one, lease one new. And shout out to my local Cadillac dealer in Fort Collins, Colorado, Dellenbach. They keep letting me borrow their cars, except I just borrowed the Vistics all the time for comparisons. So anyway, there you go. Thanks so much for watching a little fun tour in the Escalade, or no, what are we in? The Lyriq. I'm going to put it back into tour mode and just cruise around California in this car, which feels so right. I'm even going to open up the sunroof because it's got one of those. Nice. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully see you in another one again soon. Sorry for the little filler video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm really glad to have the opportunity to have another go. Bye-bye.